Now, it doesn't matter if it's a Fordham or some kind of knockoff. The process is generally the same. You want to find all the screw points. You want to take all of those out. You want to figure out how the piece comes apart and then dismantle it as nicely as possible.
I don't know what I'm doing with my life.
And then, of course, there's always something more I need to do to get something else done. I'm trying to carve a little bit of stones in order, in between editing some video about past experiences with companies, along with trying to get a daily video out, along with trying to get the podcast off the ground. And I'm like trying to space my time out, but I can't do one thing without spending time cleaning another. What do you want? I have to take apart this motor and clean it out so that it'll work properly again, because carbon gets built up on it from the bushings that are in it, brushings that are in it. Leaves carbon on the motor. Got to clean the motor off so that it'll spin again. But these are not wanting to come out. It seems like I might have to drill them out. And I mean, that seems like you at the same time that it's better to drill them out and have to put bigger screws in there than to go buy a new motor right now. Editing Caleko here to tell you, don't do that. You're gonna find out why later. Don't drill it out, just keep watching the video, but don't do that. And then I'm telling myself I'm gonna be using my GoPro and I'm gonna be working on this story. I'm gonna be cutting that stone, and then I start my day and I'm not able to finish cutting stones because my motor is too dirty with carbon, and I'm not able to finish getting the screw out of the thing because I don't have the proper tools. I can't even open it because the screws on it are stripped, which is probably my fault from previously or some such. And so I'm like, I gotta go get some water. I'll just run down there real quick on my bike, get together, go down there on the bike. And as soon as I'm pulling in, I get a flat tire. So now I'm walking. I still got 3 things of water, but it's definitely, this sucks. Now I'm walking all the way back to the house. And so my dumbass just kept wheeling and wheeling. I saw the nail in there, but then it started thumping. I mean, apparently that thick inner tube I had on here was great, because I wasn't checking my tires at all or anything, and this must have been in there for a while. And this didn't even affect it at all. I've got to buy me another one of those thick inner tubes. All right, I need to change my shirt. Let's draw a... Somebody, I can't remember her name. She purchased one of the grab bags. I like to keep the box shut and rifle my hand all through it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the corner of one. Number 36. There we go. Katie's up on the board. Thank you for your purchase, Katie. It's much appreciated.
What you gonna do, stinker? She's gonna sniff it. Oh boy. This is crazy. What are you gonna do, stinker? Huh? This could be crazy. No, Koki! Oh my gosh. Koki? That was so scary.
Now, it doesn't matter if it's a Fordham or some kind of knockoff. The process is generally the same. You want to find all the screw points. You want to take all of those out. You want to figure out how the piece comes apart and then dismantle it as nicely as possible. Some pieces are going to use more screws than others. Some pieces you're going to have to put more pieces back together in. You're going to have to pay attention a little bit better. But they're all basically the same. You want to get to the coil, clean the coil up, and then put everything back as nicely as possible. This is stripped. I can't get it out. No matter what I do, I just cannot get it out. So, gonna go the other way with it. Ah, there we go. Got it. Most of the time when I figure out I did something really stupid to ruin fixing something, I end up just barely saving it. Like with this one, when I went to drill the bolt out without having a tap I thought I had. But I left just enough of it to actually get a hold with the screwdriver and put a flathead in it and pull it out. And I gotta take the bottom off now. Alright, so I decided to get some gloves on real quick because I'm going to be dealing with this carbon, and it does tend to get everywhere. And now there's a couple of ways you can do this. You could have some electrical cleaner, I think, that cleans carbon off, which I don't know really about that. Or you can use erasers. Erasers definitely work. They do take a little bit of time, but you can see how black that carbon buildup is. See, it's like really, really black. So make sure your item's not plugged in. And a sanding paper, you can do this with sanding paper too. Probably go a lot faster with sanding paper than with an eraser, but on that one you can definitely see a difference already. And then also with sandpaper, sanding paper, and then also with sandpaper, it wears away the copper that's inside. Sooner or later, sanding it will wear the wheel down. I'm sure this will too, but this will take a lot longer than what sandpaper would take. All right, well that's one is good enough right there. That first one, it's clean enough. So that's one, and that took, you know, a couple of minutes. So all right, that's plenty good enough. After how dirty it was, that looks fantastic. Sure, it could be cleaner, but with some erasers and about 15 minutes worth of elbow grease, this will give me probably another 3 months worth of usage, 3 to 6 months before it starts stopping. And how you'll tell is it'll stop working and you'll bang on it and it'll start working again, and sometimes you'll be seeing sparks and it'll be popping and stuff, and that means it needs to be cleaned. And your motor's fine, just clean it and it'll last a really long time. Why is it the moment I get up they jack my seat? Both of them. They're both, it's only the seats I want to use too. If I'm going to be in the other room, then that would be the seat they'd be in. I'm telling you. Gotta be jacking my seats. Now an actual Fordham's going to have a little bit more technicality in putting it back together than some of the cheaper things. Especially if you had to do what I did, which was, you know, remanufacture some screws and such. If you end up having a bolt, I should turn that fan off. And if you end up having a bolt that strips out real bad, don't do the stupid thing that I did, which was try to drill through it, forgetting I didn't have a tap. Then you got to replace it. The easy thing to do would be to grab the grinding wheel, a thin one, and cut a score in it so you can get it out with a Phillips head screwdriver. Because it ends up that even just a little bit of the head left, even if you made a huge mistake by, say, apart. And this had broken, and so it won't work. I have to get new brush for it out of this one because I haven't been able to get these off. I don't have the proper size, or they're stripped, and I would have to cut the bolt, and so I haven't opened this up to clean it because it's really just not worth going through the trouble. I can buy another one of these motors for like 60 bucks. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull the brushes out of this and use them. Felix loves to lay on things. If you put something out that's different, he will decide, hey, I'm going to go see what this feels like to lay on. He loves to lay on stuff. Now, there's definitely no doubt about Murphy's Law and trying to get something done. I'm sure since the demographic that watches my channel is all like 45 and above, you know what Murphy's Law is. But for anybody that randomly watches this doesn't know what Murphy's Law is, it's anything that can go wrong will go wrong, or anything that can happen will happen, or something like that. And that definitely seems to be extremely true when you turn a camera on. Seems to be anytime something's supposed to be not that difficult, and then you put a camera on it to do it, all of a sudden Murphy's Law kicks in big time, and all kinds of random happenstance and problems start to occur that you might have done that same thing multiple times and not once had any of these problems. That's what this build, or rebuild, or cleaning up has turned out to be. And yet, because of the way my days have been going and the amount that I've actually accomplished, I have not been able to roll with those punches. Well, today we start rolling, my friend. Today we start rolling. So I've got one of these that's the right size, and one of these is just a hair too big. And it's the longer one that's just a hair too big. So I need to make the hair too big one closer to the right size so it'll slide right in. Since this is basically graphite, I think, or something like that, the biggest deal is the back. I really need to keep this spring and not detach it from the cord that is attached inside of here. That's what's happened on both of the other ones that broke. The cord detached from the graphite. So I need to hold the spring back, or maybe zip tie the spring. That's a good idea. I'm gonna get a zip tie. Alright, I started threading it before I thought about turning the camera on like a real YouTube creator does. So I just need to, alright, trim that down out of the way a little bit. Should be able to bend it a little bit without damaging it now. I think this thing can slide right in. Alright, I don't even need to take my, I don't even need to take it off. I just need to go ahead and test it. I got a little bit of water on my hand. I'm going to re-dry everything real quick just because of that. I do not want to put any water inside of this machine at all. And I want to be able to use this as soon as possible. I can see a little bit of gouging and pitting still on it. Now, if you don't have a lapidary machine like this, you don't have to use something like this. You can use sandpaper to make the graphite smaller in order for it to fit inside of the machine you need it to fit inside of. Alright, this is try number 3. I've ground on it. That looks like it's it. A lot of times, if you want to do a proper job, you should have a proper tool. That feels good. That feels perfect. That's exactly how it's supposed to work. Alright. Let's test the other one just to make sure it's much shorter, but go. I originally thought these were all the same because they all look the same, but they're not. They're just a little bit of size difference. But if you have lapidary tools, especially flat lap wheels, you can size these to whatever you need. So now I'm going to put this thing back together and see if it works. And because it's me, before I even put this on, first thing I'm going to do is line all this other stuff up and put 1 screw or 2 screws in it. Now a good way to notice how these go in is, 1, you don't want the cords wrapped up, and then 2, you can sort of see the silver paint or something. So you just want to go ahead and put the cord with as little tension as possible and put the plastic back the way it should sit. And you're going to want to do that on both sides. So I can see that is exactly how it's supposed to go, just like that. You can really see the notch on the plastic where it's supposed to sit outside of the case. Might have to get the top to sort of wiggle first. Now if you're like me and you had some stubborn ones, then you're going to have different kinds of heads now, right? You're going to have the original, it still works fine. You're going to have the one that you or some dumbass tried to drill out first, which was the mistake, and you luckily got out of there. And you might have the one where after somebody realized that drilling it out was a mistake and they should just make a notch in it so they could use a flathead to get it out. That's the proper fix. But these all got to go back in. Now, I always recommend, if you can remember which screw came from where, put it exactly in that hole in case it was ever cross-threaded or it was put in wrong or anything like that. With ones like this where you had to use the grinder, it might be easy to notice, or it might be easy to tell which hole that is, because you might have grinder marks on it, like this one does. Now with ones like this that were 1 point stuck and have grinder marks on them, don't make them too tight. Just make them just right tight. Just snug. Like I can even see there's still a gap right there, but I'm not worried about that because there's going to be a bunch of other screws that go in here now. Alright, these, I already put them in and the camera wasn't on, so I'm going to do it again, right? These should go in really smoothly. One way they're going to be tight or not fit. The other way, they're going to slide really easily. When you got them in the right way, maybe holding it by the spring is probably the wrong move too. When you got them in the right way, you can tell because of how easily they slide in and out. Like they might be rubbing the edge, but they do slide in and out really easily. And then this piece, you can tell which side is up because it has this part for your flathead. Now if the plastic doesn't want to seat properly, it's all cattywampus when you're trying to turn it, just back turn it. And you'll hear it click. And then you can turn it forward the right way. Now these, you do not want to over tighten them. You just want to make them lightly snug. Not even snug like tight at all. You don't want to strip it out. Everything's plastic on that piece. We'll go ahead and put the hanger back together. Hangers are super important. I'm just going to go ahead and use some white lithium grease. Now, don't use WD-40 unless it specifically says it is some kind of lubricant, because WD-40 by itself is not a lubricant. It does not actually lubricant. It is a rust inhibitor. Like it's not for lubrication. It helps get things that are stuck moving, but it doesn't help keep things moving for long periods of time. Now, before we lubricate it up, I'm just going to slide this on. If it'll go down there. There we go. 2 of the screws are still in the thing. Make sure I don't lose those. Oh, there goes one. So I'm just going to slide this on. I'm not going to actually attach it yet or lubricate it. I'm going to lubricate it in a second. What I need to do is I need to test this. So this one has a switch. Most of them just have the foot pedal, but this one has a switch, so I can hold this up here and just test it real quick. Well, there we go. Lubricant on over here, and I'm going to show you the good way to do this, right? So here's a good way to do it. So there's the very bottom. We don't quite want it on the very bottom. Let's get it fed in there just a little bit. Got lithium, and just stick it down there just a little bit. Give it a squirt, move it, give it a squirt, move it. Don't put the nozzle of this over your coffee cup like I just went to. Squirt, move it. Oh, it doesn't want to let me down the hole. There we go. Now, if you hear it filling, you might want to move it a little bit more. You don't need to overfill it. We just want to put enough in there for... There's definitely enough in there. Look at that. Some lubrication on there without it being sopping wet. We don't want it sopping wet. We just want a little bit of lube. You're not gonna believe this. This is so frustrating to me. I wonder if I can get it out of the bottom. It just worked, so I know it's not broken. And I saw it inside of here. There it is, stuck inside of it. Now I didn't take my other graphite pieces off, so hopefully there's no problem with them. Put them back the way they were. When I say hopefully there's no problem, it's because there's springs, right? So if the graphite's not in there, there's no spring action going. But if the graphite is in there, then it has a spring action trying to push everything out. I don't want to damage something by putting it together wrong in a hurry because I'm doing work 4 frickin' times. Since I had to take it all back apart to pull this out of it so that it didn't end up messing up everything working, and now that I've put it all back together, let's give it a quick switch test. Boom. Perfect. You know, I really thought cleaning that would be super easy, a breeze, no big deal. I made a couple of mistakes along the way that made it a little bit harder on myself, like the whole screw thing, drilling it out instead of cutting a notch in it. And then also, things just don't go smoothly for me most of the time. I've got to work hard to make things work the way I want them to work. But the reality is that that's working now. And you should now understand more about how that motor works. So if you run into any of the problems you saw in this video, you're going to know how to deal with them. And you're not going to have to go through a whole bunch of problems like I did. You're going to have an understanding of what's going on and how to work with it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it at all, go ahead and share, like, subscribe, all that jazz. And if you haven't already bought a grab bag, check the link in the description, hit my Etsy store, buy a grab bag, buy some fire agate rough. I could really use your support. I love you for watching, and I'll see you soon.
No way. Just did it again. That's fucking crazy. I'm not gonna pay card. That's fucking crazy, man.
That's actually insane.
No, I'm gonna take it. Thanks, though.
You can't do that, man.
Yeah, I mean.
So what crime did I commit?
What state are you from? Because evidently you don't understand Louisiana.
I'll send you for a cup of coffee. I'll send for a cup of coffee.
What are you doing, Beavis?
I just want some Count Chocula.
We need beer, not like health food.
See you later.